The case study we have chosen is about a young man with dissociative identity disorder. In this project, we will talk about the theories, the disorders, and the therapies used to treat people with this personality disorder. The term personality describes a person using emotional, cognitive, and behavioral patterns. According to Chapter 11 of the syllabus on Introduction to Psychology, there are three categories of personality: introvert, ambivert, and extrovert. An introvert is a person who possesses traits associated with introverted personality type, meaning they prefer to pay attention to their own inner thoughts and ideas as opposed to what is happening around them. Instead than being among vast crowd of group of people, they prefer to spend time with one or two people. Extroverted individuals are often outgoing, unreserved people who enjoy and actively seek out social connection. Because they are likable, extroverts are more well known. A person who possesses both introverted and extroverted traits is referred to as an ambivert, since they have the ability to switch between the two depending on their mood and the situation and their objective. On the other side, we also have unhealthy personality traits, including paranoid, schizoid, and borderline personality disorder. In our studies, we found that the main character, Kevin Wendell Crumb, was diagnosed with dissociative personality disorder, and it is part of psychological disorder. A psychological disorder is an ongoing dysfunctional pattern of thought, emotion, and behavior that causes significant distress and that is considered deviant in that person's culture or society. Meanwhile, a dissociative identity disorder, DID, is a mental health condition. A person with DID has various separate personalities. A person's behavior is influenced by their multiple identities at different times. Memory loss, delusions, and depression can all be the cause by the disorders. Post-trauma is typically the root cause of DID. According to our research, when the other personality seized control of Kevin's body, he had literally no recollection of them and was stuck in his current mental state, which he believed to be from 2014 at the time the disease took control of him. So dissociative identity disorder, in my opinion, is probably related to serious childhood trauma. Defense mechanism defied several facets of his or her own self. The same person eventually develops new personality that construct their separate lifestyle. As we can see, Kevin has 23 alter ego that emerge from his experience with the basement and imagination. They all work together to protect Kevin and alleviate his pain. What I've noticed is that our brain has a miraculous function that can change depending on our personality. When Kevin adopts the final identity of a vicious beast, his brain automatically changes its form and eventually his physical form changes as well.
Multiple personality disorder was the prior name for dissociative identity disorder, DID. One of the signs of DID is that they will share the same body but with a variety of distinct personalities. Based on the movie we studied, Kevin suffered abuse and abandonment as a young boy, which caused him to split into 23 different personas as a way of self-protecting from his horrific memories. We think this is very important to learn about this behavior because this sort of mental disease is currently under study. It is crucial that we are aware of it in order to offer a genuine picture of what it is like to have it. Besides, the patients of DID require everyone's help to deal with this issue. Many unpleasant things may happen if the sickness is not treated appropriately or by an expert. Lastly, we need to educate people about what it is like to live with a chronic mental illness and work to eradicate stigmas.
The biological basis of personality theory holds that personality traits are influenced by basic nature of the brain. The biological basis linked to the case study is the brain structure. In the movie, it showed that Kevin has mental illness known as dissociative identity disorder or DID, and at various times, a person's many identities have an impact on their behavior. This is because brain structure may damaged by traumatic events in their life. The patients will have personal histories of repeated, overwhelming, and often life-threatening. DID happen when brain fail to unite different aspects of identity and memory. The brain structure of those who had traumatic event in their life become smaller in the cerebral cortex, was thinner in some regions of the brain. Kelvin lost his memory because trauma affect the hippocampus, which control memory, and the prefrontal cortex that control emotion. In other words, the traumatic events and the memory cannot be distinguished by the brain.
Dissociative identity disorder (DID) is a mental health problem. An individual with DID has several distinct personalities. So, how to resolve these issues? First is talk therapy. Some individuals may find it scary, isolating, or baffling to live with DID symptoms. DID patients tend to attempt suicide and more likely to harm themselves. Talk therapy has been linked to symptomatic long-term improvement in DID. Understanding what we are going through and why can be made easier with the help of our therapists. Therapy also gives us the chance to consider, grasp, and ultimately integrate the diverse facets of our dispersed identities. Along with helping us comprehend the reasons behind our dissociation, our therapists can help us manage dissociative states and create useful coping mechanisms. Then, cognitive behavioral therapy (CBT) is a commonly used evidence-based style of psychotherapy that has benefited a great number of individuals worldwide. CBT aims to assist us in modifying and altering our thinking and behavior by re-evaluating faulty thought patterns. CBT basically involves recognizing, confronting, and altering problematic thinking in order to gradually enhance our mentality, habits, and general well-being. For instance, it will probably be simpler to modify our behavior in the future if we alter how we feel about particular circumstances. In CBT, we will work with our therapists to identify the problematic thought patterns.
There are two theories that can be related to our case. First, psychodynamic theories, and second, cognitive theory. According to the psychodynamic theory, early experiences have a big influence on how people turn out as an adult. Children who have experienced long-term physical, sexual, or emotional abuse, or who live in a frightening or unpredictable home environment are most likely to develop the disorders. Traumatized children may develop a fear of their perilous surrounding and attempt to flee by posing as someone else who is safely observing from a distance. Psychodynamic theories believe that dissociative identity disorder is caused by the heavy use of repression, which causes undesirable impulses and painful memories to separate from consciousness. The person is unconsciously shielding himself from painful memories by suppressing these thoughts and feelings. So, typically, dissociative disorders emerge as a coping mechanism for trauma. Dissociative disorders can also develop as a result of the stress of war or natural disasters. Next, cognitive psychology theory is scientific study of mind as an information process. It is focused on how we gather and interpret information from the outside world. The cognitive theory of memory retrieval deficit can be used to explain the ID. Dissociative identities may form between way cognition is organized and beliefs and evaluations linked to retrievable autobiographical material. Psychological stress and other biopsychosocial factors have an impact on the executive system's capacity to recall autobiographical memories in the frontal lobes. This suggests that memory retrieval deficit in a number of prefrontal regions which are responsible for the ID will be the cause. DID is a condition that manifests as intense dissociation and intellectual system that causes a loss of connection in person's thoughts, memories, feelings, actions, or experience of identification. There is currently no cure for this mental illness, but therapy can lessen the symptoms or interruptions that DID causes in daily life. CBT, Cognitive Behavior Therapy, DBT, Dialectical Behavior Therapy, and EMDR, Eye Movement Desensitization and Reprocessing, are some of the therapy modalities available. As a result, it's critical that those with DID have a strong support system. Healthcare professionals, relatives, and friends can all offer assistance to people with DIDs.